Just close your eyes. Know the peace within. How your consciousness can remain wakeful. How your consciousness wakes up totally, and how your consciousness knows its unborn supreme reality. All these things will be answered, will be known by you directly once you listen to my teachings deeply and sincerely. First of all, you should know that you are only consciousness at present. In your conscious presence only, you know that you exist. Not only that you know that you exist, you know that the entire universe exists in your consciousness. Whole galaxies exist in your consciousness. Entire world appears in your consciousness. The total manifestation appears only in your consciousness. And know that your consciousness is only infinite. It is not a finite form. Unknowingly, your consciousness accepts itself to be a finite form. Your consciousness never knows that it is consciousness only. And your consciousness is very much within, and only its reflections are within space at the duality level. Entire reflections as all objects within space are at the duality level. But your consciousness is prior to duality. Duality means there's no reality. Why? Here in duality, everything is appearing at a constant speed, moving and functioning at a constant speed, unexplainable speed, and disappearing too at an unexplainable speed. Nothing is stationary here, and every object, whether living or non-living, are exclusively out of light of consciousness only, that too only out of your consciousness. You must know the infinity in you. You are infinite at the conscious level, but you never know your infinity because you never know the consciousness within you. Now you are made to close your eyes. For what? To know the consciousness in you. Just now, you know the stillness within, which is prior to words, which is prior to object, and prior to space and time, and prior to movement. This stillness is unmoving. Your consciousness begins here only. This stillness is only the beginning of the consciousness. It's not final. Once you abide in this stillness, you are conscious of yourself. That means you know your presence consciously, directly, without words. It is your direct knowing that you are. This is how you need to be conscious of yourself. To be conscious of yourself means knowing the stillness within, knowing the peace within, constantly toward the waking state. That means you are conscious of yourself inwardly. Outwardly, only a show is going on. Every object is appearing, functioning, and disappearing. It's a continuous, non-stop show, and the entire show is out of the light of your consciousness. But for your consciousness, there is nothing called world or universe or cosmos. You contain everything within just now. The potential of entire manifestation is within you just now. But for you, there's neither manifestation nor any object within space. But for your conscious presence, there's no duality show. So the entire duality show is happening spontaneously just now out of your consciousness. First, you are conscious of yourself, and then by abiding in the stillness, your consciousness wakes up. This wakefulness means here knowing the peace constantly within. Whenever you know the peace within, whenever you know the stillness within, your consciousness remains wakeful. But you are not wakeful continuously and constantly. Very often you are trapped by the duality show, as you are yet to stabilize inwardly. So first you are conscious of yourself, and by being conscious of yourself constantly, your consciousness remains wakeful. The more and more you abide in stillness, the more and more wakefulness. You start knowing the unmoving stillness within you, and you remain so cool and relaxed inwardly because there's no object to disturb you inwardly. Inwardly means beyond space. When your eyes are closed, you know your state prior to space. Prior to space means beginning of your non-dual. You are already the non-dual observer only. To know the observer is eternal, to know that the observer is ever present, to know that the observer is never born, you need to be conscious of yourself inwardly. Inwardly means knowing the peace constantly. And inwardly means beyond space. Beyond space means the non-dual reality. Once you understand what I convey here, very easily your consciousness can wake up. With eyes open, you are observing only an unreal show, which constantly changes, and it makes you believe as if everything is real, including your form. Even just now, your form is undergoing tremendous changes, unexplainable changes at a very highest speed in no time. You are not the same at the same nanosecond. But you never know all these things as you are yet to go inwardly, constantly. So outwardly means here within space, a duality show is going on. And you are continuously trapped by the duality show as you are yet to be conscious of yourself. Unless you are conscious of yourself inwardly, inwardly means prior to space, there's no possibility for you to know your non-dual supreme reality that you are never born and you never die. So I tell you to be conscious of yourself and to remain wakeful constantly, inwardly, so that the wakefulness completes itself, and one fine day your consciousness wakes up totally from the perceived duality show and knows its eternity at the non-dual level. My question is, how you find so difficult to be conscious of yourself? Why it is becoming such a difficult task for you to be conscious of yourself? You are giving importance to words and knowledge. Know that the words and knowledge are not you, they are only for utility. They are not you. You are more than the knowledge, you are prior to knowledge. You are more than the words, you are prior to words. You are continuously trapped by the knowledge gathered, continuously trapped by the words collected. Because you are yet to know your state prior to duality, prior to words, prior to knowledge. Prior to knowledge, only knowing is there. Just now, knowing is there. You know that you are without words. Be with it. Stabilize in it. And settle in it. And know that you are already that. To know that you are already that. No movement is needed. No effort is needed. No time is needed. No money is needed. All that needed is to be conscious of yourself. To be conscious of yourself, you need not go anywhere but within. Going within means just closing eyes and knowing the peace. Why you are made to close your eyes? Because with eyes open, constantly you are perceiving only a show which appears to be real, but constantly changing. Till you know the reality within you, you will be giving reality to the duality show. By giving reality to the duality show, your consciousness remains asleep. It cannot remain wakeful. That is why everything appears to be real to you. Every happenings appear to be real to you, though they are past or future or present, whatever it is. Your consciousness never knows that it is consciousness. Note this point. Your consciousness never knows that it is consciousness. So by not knowing that it is consciousness, and this consciousness is very much within, your consciousness is continuously trapped by the duality show within space. For you, everything appears to be real, every happening appears to be real, every moment appears to be real, entire episode appears to be real. Till when? Till your consciousness goes inward and knows that it is only consciousness, and also knows that it is only observing the duality show, and its original state is non-dual observing, the non-dual observer. With eyes open, you are perceiving the duality show. With eyes closed, you are already the non-dual. You are already the reality. But you never stabilize here. Then how will you wake up? Waking up is very, very easy, provided you settle inwardly, provided you give value to yourself, provided you respect yourself, provided you abide within yourself. You are already non-dual, and nothing affects you and nothing disturbs you at the non-dual level. But once your eyes are open, you are continuously deceived by whatever that appears, by whatever that moves, by whatever that happens, and whatever that disappears. So throughout the waking state, throughout the duality show, you remain struggled, you remain tensed, because you neither know what the duality is, which is unreal, nor know the reality about yourself, which is non-dual. By not going inwardly and not observing silently the outward show, in both the ways you remain ignorant. So you are under constant stress, tension, whatever the term you can use, and you are neither the tension nor the struggling nor that happens in duality. You are the pure, absolute, the wholeness, the eternal observer just now. When are you going to know that you are only the non-dual observer and not the duality show that is happening only for a shorter duration, which you term it as waking state? Only for 16 hours you remain wakeful, and out of that 16 hours also, you never remain wakeful. Through identification, which is not yourself, and by accepting the identification as yourself, which is not yourself, continuously you are trapped by the entire duality show. Then how will you wake up and know that you are never born and you never die? The absolute truth about yourself remains unknown to you. I keep on telling that you never die because you are never born. I am not telling any story here. I am telling the exact absolute secret about yourself. You are the non-dual absolute reality, and nothing has never happened to you. When are you going to know? When you are already that and always that, why you refuse to know? You are not knowing something which is not you. You are going to know about something which is you. To know the absolute truth beyond duality, first you must know that you are only infinite. Your consciousness is infinite. Only out of your infinity of consciousness, the entire cosmos happens. The entire galaxies appear. The entire world is manifested just now. Because you are infinite, you are not the tiny form as you take yourself to be. Where does the form exist, first of all, but for your consciousness? And in your consciousness, not only your form, every form appears. You are not a particular height or weight. You are infinite. You are using the form. You are using the finite form. Like how you use a telescope to view distant objects. Are you the telescope? Exactly here, you are infinite. You are using the finite form to observe the duality show. You are not the duality show. You are the observer prior to the duality show. You are already the non-dual, eternal observer, and you are prior to birth and you are prior to death. You are already free from all such duality. So your true nature cannot be explained. At the maximum, it can be explained as the nectar state. That is also a word only. Being the ultimate truth, being the highest truth, being the pinnacle of the truth, you fail to know what you are. What a pity. You fail to know what you are. In spite of being the highest truth, you never know it. Because you never value yourself. You give value to everything except yourself. You never know that yourself contains all. But for yourself, there's nothing here. And you never know that you are infinite, unbounded, beyond boundaries. You have no beginning and no ending. Everything begins in your I amness consciousness, and everything happens in your I amness consciousness, and everything disappears in I amness consciousness. But you are the observer prior to consciousness and its play. To know that you are the eternal observer, first you need to be conscious of yourself. To be conscious of yourself, you need to close your eyes and stabilize in the non-dual reality, which is the beginning of consciousness. You know this only by abiding in stillness. This is exactly the point where you can wake up. You are right now at the destination. You are already the source. Only thing is, your consciousness is, which is already in source, it needs to wake up. Your consciousness is never separate from the source. Your consciousness is already in the source, needs to wake up. How? Consciously. How? By staying beyond words, and abiding in this stillness constantly. Spontaneously, your consciousness wakes up and knows the source of itself. Just now, your consciousness is merging in the source. So it remains so cool, relaxed. Exactly like this, you are in your deep sleep, where your consciousness merges with awareness. In deep sleep, you are no more conscious of yourself. But here, you are very much conscious of yourself. Very well, you can wake up. At any moment, you can wake up. At any moment, you can turn inward. At any moment, you can stabilize inward. At any moment, you can settle and stabilize constantly. At any moment, you can wake up. Because you are already the truth and always the truth. By stabilizing inwardly, your consciousness cannot sleep. All these days, it was sleeping through identification level, taking all the duality show to be real. Now, your consciousness starts waking up from the duality show and knows that everything is happening only moment to moment, moment to moment, and it is constantly changing also moment to moment. Except your I amness, everything is changing. Your I amness is only your consciousness. which is unchanging. And in your consciousness, everything is changing. So the only possibility is to be conscious of yourself. By being conscious of yourself, your consciousness first starts knowing the joy which is infinite and starts knowing the peace which is endless. Through peace and joy, inwardly, by stabilizing in that non-duality, one fine day your consciousness wakes up from the duality show. Note this point, you are already the non-dual observer and nothing has never happened to you. And whatever observed are within the duality, which is not you. And the entire duality issue is happening only in your consciousness. But you are more than consciousness. This also your consciousness will know only by stabilizing beyond words and settling in stillness constantly. So to know the non-dual truth about yourself, the non-dual supreme reality about yourself, you need not go anywhere. Because truth is not within space, so that you can go somewhere and find out the truth. It is beyond duality. You never know that whatever observed are duality and the observer is beyond duality, the non-dual. Now I am introducing the non-dual reality within you and say that whatever perceived in this space is nothing but a duality show where everything appears, moves and disappears. Truth is very simple. Know that you are already the non-dual observer. You are prior to duality, prior to consciousness, prior to the entire play by consciousness, prior to manifestation, prior to space. You are ever here. You are the pinnacle of the truth, the highest truth, the ultimate truth. But you are yet to realize this. How to realize your absolute truth? And the truth is inward. How will you know the truth about yourself? By moving outwardly. Truth is inward. How will you know? Within duality. Truth is non-dual. How will you know within duality the truth about yourself? That's why everyone gets vexed within the duality show, because they search the truth within duality, not knowing that that's a state prior to the duality, which is non-dual. Now you accept only the waking state to be real, because you are yet to know the state which is prior to the waking state, which is prior to the consciousness, which is prior to the duality. I am introducing the non-dual reality within you just now. Be with it. At any time, your consciousness can wake up. At any time, your consciousness can know that the duality is only the reflection of itself, and there's no reality within duality. To remain wakeful, you need not struggle. You need not move here and there. You need not spend much time or money Just closing eyes is enough, and knowing the peace is enough. You are enough unto yourself. Just now you contain it. Why not explore it? How will you explore it? By not being with yourself. You are always with identifications, and you are always roaming only within the duality. You never bother to know the non-dual reality within you. You never bother to go inward to find out what you are. You never care about yourself. You never care about the supreme truth within you. You remain totally ignorant about yourself. This is non-dual prior to duality. So now I am introducing the non-dual reality within you, which is prevailing forever and ever prior to the duality show. This non-dual reality is ever here. Only the duality appears and disappears. Appears and disappears. You are not that which appear and disappear. You neither appear nor disappear. You are prior to appearances, movements, and disappearance. You are the non-dual, ultimate, already and always. Effortlessly, you are that just now. You are making efforts only within duality. Efforts are required only within duality. To be with yourself, to know the non-dual truth in you, no effort is needed. Just closing eyes is enough, because you are already right in your destination. It's a moment of awakening only. You are already the source, and you can wake up and know your source only through consciousness, because through consciousness only you come to know that you exist, but you wrongly identify yourself to be a person by not knowing the consciousness within. Once your consciousness knows that it is only consciousness, that's a very turning point. The very turning point to go inward and settle in the stillness makes you wakeful, more wakeful, and finally your consciousness knows about its absolute eternity. Prior to duality, note this point. You are prior to duality. Then what else you are doing? You are only observing the duality show. And the duality show is by what? It is by the consciousness within you. And what is this consciousness? Nothing but light. So you are prior to light, prior to consciousness, and observing the entire show, entire manifestation within space, which are nothing but reflections of the light. And you are only observing the duality show, which is not you. You are already the non-dual observer, observing the duality show, which happens spontaneously out of your consciousness. And you are not the duality show. You are the source of consciousness, the absolute awareness, and nothing has never happened to you. And whatever that appears to happen within duality is not you and never you. This you will know only through complete wakefulness from the duality show. How long the duality show happens? Only 16 hours per day. Every day from morning 5 till night 10 or so, the duality show goes on. Afterwards, you do not know what happened to you for the rest of the 8 hours. Though you are ever here, but you never know about your presence. Since your presence is not known, world is also not known. World also does not appear in deep sleep. So daily this movie goes on. You are conscious of yourself, in your consciousness the world happens. And when you are no more conscious of yourself, world also disappears. Every day this play goes on. You never care about yourself to know from where all these things are happening. Whatever you describe about, explain about, debate about, where it is all happening, but for your consciousness. First to find out what this consciousness is, because that is a very fundamental factor through which you come to know that you exist, as well as you come to know the entire manifestation appears within space. You are only perceiving the duality show throughout the waking state, but as an observer, you are prior to waking state. This you must know. But you cannot know unless you go inwardly. You cannot read books and say that I have known the truth. Unless you go inwardly and settle inwardly, wakefulness is not possible. And wakefulness is also not partial, it is total. Your consciousness wakes up totally and completes itself. When it knows that it is never separate from the source and it is already the source. And at the source level, nothing is born and nothing dies. You are ever, ever, ever present. Till your consciousness wakes up and knows its totality beyond duality, you appear to struggle within duality. But duality is not you. So the only possibility is to be conscious of yourself, and to be conscious of yourself, stabilize inwardly, constantly, spontaneously your consciousness wakes up. Wakes up from what? From the duality show. Your consciousness unknowingly trapped by the duality show. Now, through wakefulness, by abiding inwardly means beyond space, which is non-dual, by abiding in the non-dual constantly, your consciousness wakes up from the duality show. This is the trust of the truth about yourself. The more you abide inwardly, the more you abide in the non-dual reality, the more and more you settle in this non-dual reality, in this non-dual richness, through stillness, your consciousness, which is trapped at the duality level show, now starts waking up. Because it is merging in the source itself. Right now, your consciousness is merging in the source. One fine day, your consciousness wakes up totally and knows that there's nothing called birth or death. All the form level show are only a duality show, only a dream show. There's no reality. This, your consciousness declares only upon total awakening from the duality show. Once you listen to my teachings deeply, sincerely, I am certain your consciousness remains conscious of itself, settles inwardly, constantly, and wakes up totally. This is the only solution. Solution is not within duality. The solution is the non-dual reality, knowing itself as non-dual reality by being conscious of itself. This is the only solution. The solution is within you already. Wakefulness is already within you. You contain the solution right now. You remain wakeful right now inwardly. Why not you settle in it? That's my question. Just settle inwardly and remain free from the duality show. Just now you are free from the duality show. Now you are the non-dual reality. But you never stabilize here. The more and more you stabilize inwardly, lesser and lesser will be impacted at the duality level. The more and more you stabilize inwardly at the non-dual level, you remain free from the duality show within space. Entire objects and the movements and the entire story is going on within the duality at the form level identities. But the observer is prior to space, prior to duality, non-dual. And you are only the observer. How will you know without going inwardly, without stabilizing inwardly? That's what I am doing now. I am helping you to abide in stillness constantly so that your consciousness wakes up spontaneously. Now you are free from the duality show. Remain free as much as possible. Once you are closing eyes, you are beyond space, prior to space. Prior to space, nothing happens. You are in your original state. Only when your eyes are open, you see the play, the spontaneous play by the elements at the duality level, which is not you. Listen to my teachings deeply, very deeply. It might wake up your consciousness at any moment. I am certain your consciousness can wake up at any moment once it is conscious of itself and stabilizes in the non-dual reality through stillness constantly. You contain the solution within. The answer is within you, and you are searching it in the duality show. The only answer is your non-dual reality, which you are already. And the non-dual reality is unmoving and unchanging, and you are already that. When you are already that, how can you become something which is not yourself? And whatever you observe within duality is not yourself. As an observer, you are in your original state. But observed are not yourself. It is by consciousness. But you are more than consciousness. The duality show is by consciousness. As an observer, you are prior to duality, prior to consciousness. Note this point too. As an observer, you are prior to duality, prior to consciousness. And whatever observed are within duality and by consciousness, the reflections of consciousness, which is not yourself. So you are already that, always that, and you are the only non-dual observer. Right now you are at your own destination and nothing has never happened to you. Better wake up from the duality show and know what you are exactly. I am here always, only to wake up your consciousness and to make you aware of the eternal truth within you, which is prior to birth, prior to death. You are ever, ever, ever present here.